Hey guys, today I want to talk about something a little different, and I wanted to dive into the RTS genre, which is something that I love to do in my spare time, to play these type of games. I'm not good enough to really play online against people, but I enjoy the fantasy of commanding an army and whatnot, and just the role play of it all, and plus a lot of RTS games have pretty good stories. And one of those games is Dawn of War. This is a pretty beloved RTS franchise, and despite the third game not doing as hot, well, that's an understatement with how the community reacted to that game, but Dawn of War 1, specifically Soulstorm, is up there with the top 3 RTS games of all time for me, and that's right alongside the likes of Age of Empires 2 and Warzone 2100. And if anybody's ever heard of that game, well, that is a very good RTS game, and honestly, it's really underrated, and I have not talked to very many people who know about that game. Starting off the game here, we have the intro cutscene, which was, I think, upscaled, but it looks fantastic, and sets the tone for the game overall. The brutal, harsh reality of the war that is happening within Warhammer. The Blood Ravens making their debut in this game, pushing forward to reclaim the critical location on top of this hill or die trying. And despite the Green Tide pushing them back, they went to the very end for the Emperor to capture the objective. And you can see behind all of them, the angels from heaven descending upon the battlefield. When I seen this my first time, when I got this game, I was really impressed. It took me back to the days like Warcraft 3, when I grew up playing those games, and the cutscenes in there. I didn't grow up with Warhammer. I knew about it on and off, but I wasn't really quite sure, and my cousin got me into the franchise, this was the first game that I ever bought that was Warhammer. And after this, him and I went out and we got the Dark Vengeance starter set to play the tabletop, and well, that was confusing, but regardless, this game is a really fond memory of mine, and I go back to it quite a lot. But with the Definitive Edition, now we have improved graphics, most likely AI upscaled, improved resolution, improved performance, 64-bit engine to allow mods. It's pretty much what we asked for when it came to like getting a more modern edition of this game. They've done a lot with so little for what they've actually put in the Definitive Edition. All of it tied together, all the games, all the campaigns, you can play them all. And I really highly suggest doing so. Before I move on to any of that though, I want to talk about the Army Painter, because for me, this was where me and my friends have had a lot of fun creating our own stupid factions or our own little stories of chapters the eons ago when we started this game. And still to this day, I love going in and messing with them and adding in other factions that's not in the game. Another example of something that was unique to this game is the Revilers got added. They are from the Astartes videos, and honestly, if you haven't seen that either, I suggest watching that. That's crazy. So moving off from the Army Painter, we have the campaign in general. Now I won't be really talking about the base Dawn of War campaign or Winter Assault. Those are both good, and Winter Assault introduces the Guardsmen, or the Imperial Guard. Really, you should just go through them all in order. But when I got this game, I didn't really know how loved Dark Crusade's campaign was, or just Dark Crusade in general, because I originally started with Soulstorm, and to me, that was like the best one. But going back and playing through them again, and then getting to Dark Crusade, I can see why. A lot of people loved the campaign and the balance of this before they added a lot of the new stuff, and before the Sisters of Battle or the Dark Eldar were added. The campaign map is pretty neat. It's like this RPG mixed with like this Risk style of conquest. You're moving to these different territories, capturing them, using requisition every turn that you get to reinforce them. And some of these grant you units or unique upgrades, which can be applied directly to your leader, giving this like RPG sort of level system, I suppose, if you want to say it that way. Being able to find these really cool upgrades allow you to take on these harder missions despite you having a smaller army if you're smart enough to outplay the AI, which in general is what I spent 4 hours doing on this mission here, because I refused to fight the Necron Lord who was next to me, because screw that, that was way harder, and there was no way I was beating that. Though it did feel pretty good being able to experienced the Definitive Edition AI and the campaign, because they have been doing a very good job at giving the AI some buffs overall, like to make them a lot smarter, not to trip up on itself, overall just making it better to play against and more challenging. On Insane, however, boy, it is a lot different than it was on the original Soulstorm after the few updates. But on hard mode, it provides a good enough challenge in the campaign to be fun, at least in the Dark Crusade one. I'm sure Soulstorm follows up with that as well. I didn't try it yet with the new AI. You have 7 factions to choose from, and all of them have their own story here. You follow the leaders of these factions, get their upgrades, and then you complete it and you get a nice little epilogue for it. Pretty great if you like this more slower paced campaign, this conquest mode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. During the battle, you'll notice these things called sync kills or glory kills or executions. They come randomly, but a lot of the times it's when the squad's about to die and you're finishing them off. They make your unit invincible, but you get to have this awesome sort of in-game cinematic view of whatever is getting executed, being ripped apart, shot a bunch of times, you know, obliterated. Like, they're all different depending on who you have. I don't have video footage for all of them, but I do have some for the Dreadnought and for the Necron Lord and the Force Commander. Pretty cool, right? Speaking of the Dreadnought, the voice acting in this game is pretty top notch. It may not sound as refined as the second game, but it feels in theme and matches the unit that it's for. You have very memorable lines from all of them, and I want to play a few of them from the Dreadnought right now because personally for me, this is my favorite unit of the game. Well, one of them.
I have awoken. Faith is eternal. Command me. Even in death I still serve. I am the instrument of his will. It is better to die for the Emperor than live for yourself.
In the gameplay, there's not a lot of need to micro. Minus your control groups, you don't really have to worry about hitting A, T, Y, U, K, or rolling your face over the keyboard to really get used to the keybinds. There is a pretty good setting now that they have in this to get modernized keybinds, which is easy to learn. But if you don't want to learn that kind of stuff, you're not going to be that far behind in playing against even people for the most part. And remember, strategy over micro, and there's a pretty good video out there about that, which I'll actually link in the description. However, versing the AI, you'll have no problem. Just gotta learn your faction, gotta learn what the enemy faction does, and honestly, anybody at any skill levels can jump into this game. Easy to insane, and there's a lot to learn. The Necron Lord in general, for all the leaders, is my favorite. He's not my favorite unit in the game, but out of all the leaders, he's a walking tank that just dishes out punishment and can become quite an annoyance early game if it's in your base and you don't have anything to take care of it, because he takes forever to kill. Now, getting him killed as Necron put you way behind. However, you can really go on a power trip with just one squad of warriors or a squad of flayed ones, and unless they have vehicles or some pretty strong anti-infantry, you're gonna tear into their base, and there's really not much anybody can really do about it. It's just overall crazy to see this walking ancient Egyptian-like Terminator obliterate anything within his path. I really love the Necron. That's probably my second favorite faction in the entire game. Speaking of my favorite thing though, it's this thing right here. This beautiful fortress of 11 barrels of hell. The Baneblade is the coolest unit in the game. I will stand my ground on this one. This thing is a freaking beast. And the voice lines of it too, and the sound effects, which, well, here you go. I'll just let you listen for yourself. Whenever you use this thing, it is pretty much GG. I mean, unless you misplay with it or go in solo. But if you've taken even a few squad of guardsmen and your artillery and 2 Leman Russ escorts, it's game over. I mean, this thing is probably, from what I've read, the strongest relic unit in the game that you can get. Now, every faction has their own relic unit, of course, but this one's the coolest. I mean, I've watched casted games and I see people just GG and give up when they see a Baneblade on the field, even if they're not that far behind. But balance isn't really why I'm talking about this. It's the fact that it's a giant tank, and I love giant tanks. And honestly, this is the reason I play the Imperial Guard. Well, that and the Khazarkins, but this is the reason I play the Imperial Guard right here. The being able to push up, secure defensive line, create a firing line, put your artillery back there, and have your heavy weapons team set up with your turrets, and just hold out while bombarding the living shit out of the enemy until you get your main battle tanks up and running, and then your Baneblade to finish it off. It's like a victory lap, and it always feels good to obliterate the opposition with the freaking Baneblade. I am an elf lover at heart, and I've tried to play the Eldar, and I'm just really not good with them. And no matter what faction I pick, I do the best with the Imperial Guard. And I think the whole like futuristic military approach with vehicles and infantry specializations, that gets me. And then I have the Necron and the Space Marines, but you know, that's neither here nor there. I won't talk too much about it because this is a Dawn of War Definitive Edition video and not a Dawn of War 4 video, because I'm not lucky or big enough to have any copies of that. From what I've seen, I hope that it's pretty good. And it's nice to know this franchise isn't dead. We don't know how good it's going to be, and it's by the creators of Iron Harvest and not Relics, so hopefully they nailed the theme of the game. I mean, Company of Heroes 3 is doing pretty okay, and Age of Empires 4 is still doing pretty solid, so they probably got their hands full. So hopefully this does really well. Well, I just wanted to finish up here and say thank you all for watching my stuff. I did something a little different this time than before. This is all unscripted. This all comes from the heart regardless, and these games are a big part of my childhood and a part of my life even now. And if you really like this kind of stuff, guys, please do the usual thing that everybody asks. So like and subscribe, share it, whatever. I just appreciate all the support in general. Until the next time, guys, may the Emperor protect.
Looks like everything's in order, son. Drive him back! Open fire!